this is weird, just a little bit. So what I've done, I just thought I'd stick this on because I bought the Tobin Sport Inflatable boat and been using it for nearly a year now. One of the things that is an absolute pain is when you're trying to get it in and out of the water, putting the engine on, putting it off, carrying it to and from. I think the worst occasion I was in Colwyn Bay, literally went out, perfect, spent a good 6 hours, came back in, the sea was miles away, the tide was all the way out. It was going to be a few hours before I could get back in again, so yeah, that was painful. Now the engine I've got is 6 horsepower, it's not massive, it's not a huge one, enough for me, and it is enough for me, you know, and it flies along pretty well. Made a few videos in the past for this channel, and another one called Angle Seal, where I pretty much get out, explore, have a look at different places and stuff, but I just thought I'd knock this together. We're in the shed, it literally is a shed, but it needs replacing, it's fallen to bits, it's all rotting, there's no room in the house, so I just thought pop in the shed, it'd be fine. Yeah, so the idea is, bought the Tobin Sport Inflatable SIB from Costco last year, so I've had it about a year now. One of the things that's proved to be a bit of a pain is constant lifting the engine on and off, moving it across beaches, shingle, that sort of thing. Just something a little bit easier is what we're looking for, to just smooth that process out really. So looking at wheels, there's loads online, there's literally tons of them. Some are cheap, or when I say cheap, I mean about 130 quid. It's cheap for wheels. Then upwards of £200 to £300 depending on what you get, whether you're looking at some branded stuff like the Railblazers. Is it Railblazer? Yeah, the little thin plastic ones. Now I suppose they serve a purpose, or you can get the small ones. These are the proper budget end that I've seen, and I think boat wheels are the cheapest I've seen them, something like 40 quid. Little tiny grey plastic wheels, everyone slates them online, but you do get some good reviews of them as well. But the thing is, any wheels has got to be better than none. Dragging it across that, you know, and carrying it, I think for me it kind of came to a head when I was in Colwyn Bay. Went out, spot on, tide was in, brilliant, 6 hours, did a bit of fishing, mackerel, you name it, it was a good session. You even see dolphins, which you don't expect really around that area, but they are there. So yeah, when he came back in, it was about 3 o'clock, tide was all the way out, literally. I've got 6 horsepower, 3.3 SIB, quite a bit of weight, so it meant that I was going backwards and forwards, trying to carry stuff up slowly each time. 6 horsepower is what I use with the SIB, absolutely spot on. You know, it's a new Mariner, and with just me in, flies absolutely, I can't fault it. With my lad in, he is a bit on the heavier side. It still planes, but if there's a bit of a chop, it can struggle a little bit. But don't get me wrong, I've been up to Puffin Island, down the Menai Straits, and it's classed as one of the most dangerous waterways in the UK. But yeah, we did it. Spent a little bit longer than I was hoping to. Around, you know, he was loving it, seeing the seals, that sort of thing. I knew there was a weather system coming in, and really got bad. I mean, tide against wind, I learned a bit of seamanship that day, and it also kind of made me think that the safety equipment that we've got, it's not good enough, you know. And I think that if you've got a boat, a little boat, particularly a small inflatable boat, yeah, saying that, it depends. It doesn't matter what sort of boat you've got, you still need decent level of kit. Now I've got life jackets from various places, quite cheap. We had those on at the time. I didn't have a VHF radio on me at the time. All I had was my phone, which was in my hand, getting ready to make a call. I was that unprepared. Things have changed a little bit now, and when I say changed, I just plan. You know, I would never do what I did again, because it was a scary time, but I learned a lot, you know. And the good thing is, having this boat, which is classed as a budget boat by a lot of people, it's not a Honda brand, Honwave, that sort of thing. People kind of slate it. That boat is absolutely amazing. It will perform just as well as the more expensive models. The difference is it's not got that same sort of pedigree of branding. But yeah, like I said, I can't fault it. The point, I've taken it on the lakes, I've been out on the sea, around Nevin, North Wales, Anglesey, just North Wales coast in general, and it's absolutely perfect. The only things I would say is, for me, in my little one, 6 is borderline, and when I say little, he's not that little really. If I wanted to go out and have a bit more comfortable with power and stuff, 8 horsepower would be a minimum. But I reckon if you get a 10 horsepower on that boat, then you'll be absolutely fine, particularly for 2 up with your fishing gear. Now, I'm rambling on a bit now, but that's not what I'm here for. In the shed, so I mentioned earlier, there's the different types of wheels or launch wheels. Now, the cheap or nasty plastic ones, which everyone says stay well clear of. They get stuck in the mud, they don't really turn, and to the higher end ones. But I've had a look and I came across some cheaper ones on Amazon. Not cheaper than the little plastic ones, but cheaper main wheels, so like quite large bulky wheels, which come in handy if you're going over soft sand, wet sand, that sort of stuff. It just sinks in if you've not got wide wheels, and it makes it difficult. The same when you're going over stones and pebbly areas. The smaller your wheels, the more difficult it is to kind of drag them over, that sort of thing. So I picked up these, I think there was about 70 odd quid, which in terms of wheels isn't bad at all. The description says 130 kilograms is what it holds. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you these wheels now, and they don't look too bad. I did take them out before, had a quick look at them, and I'm going to try and fit them later on this evening to my Tobin Sport Inflatable SIB. Once I've done that, pack it all up, get it all dried out, silicone sealed, that sort of thing, get it dried, and I'm actually going to take it out tomorrow and test them on Colwyn Bay. The reason Colwyn Bay, it's about an hour and a half roughly to get this. It's not too far. The weather's looking alright as well, low winds, 18 degrees, spot on. Get a bit of fishing done, maybe have a bit of an explore around the little arm, that sort of thing as well, a bit little, and he loves it. We come across seals, dolphins, all that. It just makes the day. And some of the times when I go out, I don't mind not fishing. I'll just let him do his thing, and then mess about in the water, see what we can do with the camera on the bottom, all sorts of stuff really. I'm going to try and capture a bit more of that actually, and stick it on YouTube so you can see it. I was in Nevin, that'd be about a month ago, just before all the rains and stuff, and it was spot on. The clarity of the water was unbelievable in comparison to how I've seen it, but it had been quite settled for a while. I did drop the camera down just on a end of a fishing rod really, so the footage was a little bit like dragging across and shaky, but the distance you could see underwater was phenomenal. I would say it was in about maybe 20 foot of water or something like that, and you could see crystal clear, quite a good distance. I have got a little bit of footage, and I think I've got it on the computer. We can actually see a little spider crab and everything walking over. Actually no, sorry, lying. It was just on a rock, but it was crystal clear, you could see it. There weren't many fish about, if I'm honest. I didn't see anything in the brief clips, but again, it's quite early in the year that you've got that transition period where the winter species are off, they're making their way out, and the summer species haven't yet arrived. So that's probably why there weren't much knocking around. I do want to get down and get out around there again and have a fish as soon as I can. Well, I like getting out whenever I can, to be fair. So anyway, I'll show you these. I didn't take this one out. So You see what I mean about decent sized wheels? Not for highway use, we get that. It's only for dragging your SIB around and stuff. But you can see, you know, it's a sturdy bit of kit, solid rubber, and you should be fine dragging that. It's quite a decent width, and you know, there's a few inches there as well. Stop you sinking down into the soft sand and that. It's not the, you know, the biggest diameter wheel, but sometimes you don't need huge. I think that's a pretty good size wheel, good all rounder. You know, it's pretty solid, decent bit of kit really. Now, I was thinking they were going to be really low quality, but they actually came in these bars, film wrapped, so protected. I haven't actually had these out yet. So you can see, I'm assuming that's where it tends to the bracket. It's that nice polished stainless steel, and at the bottom there, that's where your wheel's going to be banging on. Okay, so you get two of those in here. Another wheel. Then at the bottom, we've got these. Now, it's not a bad touch actually. It's quite heavy, but you'd expect it's going to hold up to 130 kilos. So that's the boat, the engine. So you should be fine up to a 15 horsepower as long as you've not got a fully kitted out boat there. And then 130, what's the boat? It's about 50, 40 odd, 48, 46 to 50, depending on what I've got in. The engine on top of that, we're looking at 27. So 80 kilos without any kitting. You've got 50 kilos, a bit of margin of error, so you can put some fishing gear on, you'll be absolutely fine. So you've got your brackets, and you've got bolts and stuff in here as well. Yeah, so it comes in this pretty unassuming box from Amazon. What I'm going to do, I don't want to sound like people going, oh, check the links out below, but I am going to put a link in below. What I have noticed is the same, they're definitely the same, but under various brands. There's a couple of obscure Chinese brand names. So what I will do, I'll whack these on in a bit. I've never fitted these before, so hopefully, you know, everything goes to plan and don't damage the boat or anything. Not very good at DIY, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway, and if I can do it, trust me, you can do it. That's how poor I am at DIY. So I'll whack them on. I'm not going to video it going on because I'll just make myself slow down or mess up or something, because I'm paranoid, you know, and I've got the camera running. What I will do, I'll make a video of tomorrow, providing everything goes well tonight. My boat's still in one piece in the morning. But yeah, I think the reason I picked these ones is obviously cost, but then at the same time, I think it's good for people to see that just because something isn't the best brand, or it's not the highest rated based on being a bit obscure, it doesn't mean that it's not a good quality piece of kit. So the boat, Tobin Sport, in the UK, it's best way. It's just seen as a puddle brand, or you know, a toy brand around beaches, you know, little tiny dinghies, rubber rings, that sort of thing, and it's not seen as a massive brand as it is. Now, we don't see them as often as you'd expect over here. It is brought and shipped across by Costco, which are doing them at an absolutely brilliant rate. I think I paid £530 for it. For a similar boat, you're looking at a good few £100 more. There are some other ones similar, but the denier, and by the denier I mean the material itself, is slightly thinner, so I'm assuming not as durable and as resistant to damage. Then you've got to factor in that you're getting a superb piece of equipment for the price, and I've used it umpteen times now, over and over, and I've never had an issue with it. The only issue is myself, and that is carrying it and moving it around, and hopefully that'll end with the wheels being fitted tomorrow. Like I said, if all goes well, I'll show you pulling. I'll get my little lad, it might be a bit shaky, the footage and stuff, but I'll get him to show me pulling it along, and we'll just see how good the wheels actually are. And my point being, what I started off with this is, These might be cheap, but they look like a sturdy piece of kit. These are well made, polish. I think they'll be absolutely fantastic on the boat, and for a saving of probably the equivalent of £80 more, maybe £100 more, I think they'll do the same job, no different. A lot of these wheels, regardless of where you get them from, it's the same stuff. They're coming from the same factories, the bits and bobs inside. Same with the SIBs as well. People are saying, oh, we should get Homewave, you should get this, you should get that. You get what suits you. Now for me, the perfect thing about the boat, 3.3 is an ideal weight for moving it around on your own, should you have to, if you've got the wheels attached. It's an ideal size as well, 3.3 metre, so you're not massive. You can get your kit in, you can take people with you as well, as long as you're not kind of overloaded. I've had 4 in it, plus bags and believe it or not, throws, all sorts of stuff with the kids and the missus, just going around the lakes. But it's big enough. It is big enough. The only thing I would say is we've had 4 from it fishing, 2 adults, 1 large child, 1 smaller child. It can get a little bit comfortable in that sort of situation, but it is doable. You can choose to put the seats in whether or not you want. That again is entirely up to you. I've found that sometimes I don't even fit the seats anymore, just depending on what we're doing. If we're just going for a bit of a mooch round or whatever, a small fish, or we want to create as much room as we can, we remove the seats, and it just helps you move around the boat easier rather than stepping over and that sort of thing. But again, it's each to their own. Now, ideally, would I like a bigger SIB? I would, yes I would, but what you've got to factor in again is the weight increase, the size as well. I've got a little car, and by a little car I mean it's a 340 litre boot. It's a small Hyundai i30, just small and medium car. I put the boat across the back seats, engine in the boot, and all your gear, life jackets, oars, everything else, and it fits all right. I have managed to get it all kind of on the 80-20 seat. I'll drop the 20, put the boat in down the side, engine and everything, and 4 of us in the boat several times, so it's doable. But if I went up to a 3.7, though it might not seem much in the big scheme of things, that extra size is going to create a significantly larger footprint within your car. So if you've got a bigger car, spot on. But again, if you want to go out on your own and you're shifting it about, you should be okay, providing you're reasonably fit and you can move that sort of weight on your own. But all depends on your engine size as well. Now, for me, with the 6 horsepower, I started off with a 3.5. It was alright, but seriously underpowered. I could get it to plane. I actually could get it to plane with just myself on. But it was noisy because it was kind of running at full whack all the time. Whereas with a 6, it's just far more, I don't know, it's a lot smoother. It's not as noisy because you're not kind of thrashing it. And to go out on the sea, I'm comfortable with the 6. Even though people say, boom, you need a 10, you need 15, you need the max that your boat can kind of cope with. You don't. People like to think that you do, and they will try and talk you into that. But you don't need it. But you do need to have that safe amount of power, and the reason for that is you've got your tidal flow, you've got wind, and everyone knows the weather changes like the weather. So if you've got an outgoing tide, you've got an offshore wind coming out as well, you need that little bit of extra power to make sure that you're able to keep coming in, reserve fuel, that sort of thing. I tend to just take, and probably the next thing that I'm going to be looking at is a fuel tank, and the reason for that is it does me boxing a little bit when I'm topping it. I just take a 5 litre jerry can out with me and make sure the engine is full. It's got a 1.4 litre tank in it, but that said, I managed to get all the way to Puffin Island from Menai Bridge and back on a full 1.4 litre tank, and I only topped it up twice. So we're looking at less than 4 litres, which is good. I had that little bit of buffer, a little bit of spare. I didn't nail it, I took my time, in places because we was enjoying the ride, and that's what it was about. It was a bit of sightseeing, see the seals and put the boat to the test and just see what it is capable of. You know, they're an absolute brilliant bit of kit. Anyway, enough of that. I'm just rambling now, but the again, I keep saying, but I'm giving you information. The information I think that, you know, it is good to know. I learned this stuff just off the fly. I don't know anyone with a boat or SIB or anything, so everything was quite new to me. I was fortunate enough to be able to buy the boat, the SIB new, along with the engine. So that came with a 5-year warranty, providing I take it back and get it serviced, or buy a dealer, marry a dealer. Now what I can do, I can service it myself and I still get a 2-year warranty, but it makes sense just to keep that servicing up. Now the kits are quite cheap for these engines because they're not big. You can pick them up for about 45 quid for the impeller and everything that you need. Anyway, rambling. I'm gonna go and have a go at these before it gets too dark. Alright. Not gonna say I did the best job, but it'll do me. Seems pretty straight. Bit rough on that, so I've just filled it with silicone and stuff, stopping any water ingress getting into the wood, and could have tied it up a little bit, but it was going dark and I was in the backyard, so still it's done.
Are you wearing these?
We'll give it a go, see how they get on. It's going over here. Off down yonder and in the puddle. Now that is so much easier. Saved me a job. See how it goes down here. That just made it so much easier.
Go.
Through here, over there, and we're done. But yeah, different story altogether. A lot easier. I'm not knackered before I've even got there. This bit here was difficult. It pretty much just sank straight in. I don't care what wheels you've got. It is very soft sand. You can see foot going straight in. They're always going to go under here anyway. But you can see now we're on the harder sand. We should be alright. Whew. More tired than I thought, just pulling it over that little stretch. Was a little bit difficult, but not too bad. For some reason it looks the same here, but it just started flying. You see, it's not sinking in anymore, so we should be fine.